It's all things citrus, folks. That's what I'm talking about today. Now, the other day I showed you near the other gardens, let's just call them that, near another small dam that we have, the citrus trees, which get pretty much windblown there. I gave them a feed with our superfood black grit and compost on top. And I know a lot of you jumped on board and did the same thing, which is great because that's what they need this time of year. And now over here, these are my Espalier citrus trees. What I'm standing next to here is an orange. And I've got this framework. If you haven't seen this before, this is some of the temporary fencing you can get from hardware stores or building supplies. Got one of these. That's what I'm using to train my citrus on. You can use any sort of structure that's going to be quite stable, that you can create a flat environment. This orange tree has put on some growth. It's also started to put on new growth. You can see that already. Now, it's not too late to prune them. You can prune them now and thin them out. In fact, you should be able to prune a citrus tree throughout the year. These are growing flat, but they're also growing out. Now, what I mean by flat is we're going to grow it east-west. And there's two types or two forms of Espalier. You've got the formal Espalier, which means you have the perfect horizontal lines with the branches. And then you've got the fan shape, which is what I'm doing here, which is informal. And it grows flat along the wall that I'm using. And in this case, it's a temporary fencing. Walk along with me here and have a look at this one here. This is our lime tree. This one I worked on a lot more because it hasn't fruited. So I've been able to prune it more regularly. And what we look for is to be able to grow east-west without overlapping too many branches, meaning crossing over and flattening them against the wall, and removing anything that grows north and south, so in front of you or behind you. This is one branch that's growing out north away from the Espalier, so this is what we need to cut off. So we basically remove that completely, and we do the same all the way along. Have a look down here. We've left a little stub here, which may produce something in the future, but look, at the end of the day, I don't need it down here so much. I'm going to take that off as well, and I do the same all along. More branches growing out, unless I can train it down like that, which I'm not going to turn that downwards. I'd rather have something grow from the bottom or from the bottom of here to fill in that gap. And the same here. We've got this branch, it's come up from the bottom. Have a look at this. It's coming up from here. It's going through the back there. And we've got another one growing there. Now, I can probably keep that there for argument's sake. Probably, but I don't want it to grow across. In fact, no, I don't want it at all. It's just going to get messy. But hopefully that will fruit for us. And we're going to go through the whole plant and do the same thing. Cut it back, remove parts that are sticking out. We don't want them sticking out because it's meant to be flat. Look, you can have a little bit hanging out off the wall, you know, about 20 centimeters, something like that. But more than that, it's no good because you lose the shape of Espalier. Now here, this is growing up beautifully. We've lost the leaves at the top there, so we'll remove that, but we're also going to tie it down now. Tying it down, you can use soft ties, you can use a wire if you like, you can use any sort of cloth material, or you can use the tapener like this one here. Come and have a look how good this is. For those who haven't seen it, you basically put it around, click, and it's done. It's called a tape tool, folks. It's simply the quickest way to tie your plants up. It's like a really elaborate stapler. You do one click, pulls it out, then you put your product or your branch, I suppose, around the framework, and then you close it a second time and it staples it together. That's all it does. Real simple, real quick. It's great for tomatoes and everything like that. So if you've got climbing plants or espaliers like I'm doing here, this is the lime tree, it'll be fine for that. Now, looking out on citrus trees, if you see a little bit of discoloration on the ends of the tips, like this here, folks, see this there? All that yellowing, just cut it off. You don't need that on. And if it's lost all its leaves, like it has at the top here, cut that off as well. And I'm going to go around the same and do that. So espaliering, look, it takes the fruit away from the tree because in the initial stages, 1-2 years, these are pushing on 2.5 years now. And it's coming up beautifully. I really love the lime tree. The cold weather, the frost and the hail has given it a beating. All of them, in fact. This is the orange, sorry, this is not the orange, this is a mandarin. And it's really come on really well. Now it's starting to thicken up in the middle, but I don't want all that growth in there. See how it's starting to grow there? Still a bit early to cut that off. That's okay, we can leave that there, but if you have a close look, come here. We're starting to get flowers and buds and all things like that. So that's starting to develop beautifully. Now what to look out for with your citrus is citrus gall wasp. citrus leaf miner as the weather warms up. If you've got galls on your citrus trees, cut them off if they're active, young galls. The old ones which have got a hole in them, they've been discarded, so the insects actually emerged. Don't worry about those, but worry about the new ones. And if you do cut that off, you're going to encourage new growth, as we are about to get it now with the citrus trees. So start spraying it with CGWS, or our citrus gall wasp traps have just arrived. So we've got plenty of those in stock if you want to hang one in the tree. Never hang them in the middle of the tree. If you put it in the middle, not like this Espalier, imagine you've got this large, beautiful lemon tree that's always getting infested. Don't put the trap in the middle, because all you're doing is attracting the wasps to come through the tree to get caught onto the trap, but on its journey, will lay a few eggs on its journey towards the trap. So hang it on the outside or in between your citrus trees. That's the best way to control them. So for small spaces, a pot specimen citrus is perfect, or Espalier, just like I am doing here, is even better. So you can do it along your back fence, the side fence, wherever the sun shines the most, folks, that's where you're going to actually install one, so you can get plenty of sun onto it, keep it nice and warm. And the tape gun, the easiest way to actually train your tree. I haven't got the heart to cut this one off, but I have to. I can't have everything growing, otherwise it's going to grow out of control. So that goes, yep, we thin it out a little bit here. Otherwise it gets too big, and cut the bottom one off. And the oranges, well, I haven't spoken about them, have I? They're like a rock still. Oh, they're starting to soften up. Calcium, black grit, is what's going to make them nice and sweet and juicy, but if you're in the cold region like I am, they're not always going to be soft on the outside, but they're going to be very juicy on the inside, folks. So plant yourself a citrus tree in the pot or an Espalier. An informal Espalier is the great way to do it, and if you're looking for tools like this, you'll find them all on Vasili'sGarden.com. From me, Vasili, Maresi.